is a word that creates an image in your head, right? The brutality, the lack of humanity, the lack of compassion for your fellow human being. About 2 years ago, I started hearing people talking about police terror. Police terror. Terrorism by police. And as somebody who's lost somebody they love to an incompetent bully with a badge and a gun, I can relate to that. I can relate to police terror, and I can relate to police brutality. But when I talk about terror, here's what terrifies me in the city of Anaheim. That you have police officers in the Anaheim Police Department who are not qualified to carry a gun. They are not qualified to have lethal force. You have cowards. You have bullies in your force who are preying on the community, whether through intent or through reaction. Through intent or reaction. I think about Vincent Valenzuela, who was murdered in Anaheim by intent. Intent. He was beaten and tased by a pack of bully officers who could not stop beating him, who could not get the taste of blood, the smell of blood out of their nostrils. And they brutalized Vincent Valenzuela to death. And the terror comes in when you think about Vincent Valenzuela's children. His children. And here's a story for everybody in the lobby of the Anaheim Police Department. Everybody who wants to sign up to be a cadet or who trusts those cops behind the glass. Vincent Valenzuela's son, also named Vincent, was a cadet in the Anaheim Police Department's youth program. He was a cadet. He had a uniform. He had a badge. He was on their roster of Anaheim Police Department youth cadets. What do you think happened when the APD beat and tased his father to death? Do you think somebody came to Vincent's house to explain what was happening? To offer their condolences and to tell them that we've got your back, kid? You sign that paper, you're a good citizen, you get good grades, you stay out of trouble, we got your back? No, they dropped that kid like a hot rock. They wanted nothing to do with little Vincent Valenzuela. In fact, the terror comes in when they would not even let him see his daddy while he was dying in the hospital. The APD blocked Vincent Valenzuela's family from visiting him in the hospital while he was fighting for his life. What kind of cold-blooded, cold-hearted, brutal, inhuman tactics are those to terrify a community who's just trying to stand up for themselves, a family who's just trying to maybe say goodbye to their loved one, but you won't let them see him? And what was your reasoning? Because if I remember correctly, Vincent Valenzuela wasn't charged with anything. So he wasn't charged with anything. And you wouldn't let his family see him? That is horrifying. That is terror and brutality, all wrapped up in the same package. The badge behind the APD. And then I want to talk about cowardice. The other kind of terror, the thing that scares the hell out of me as a big, strong guy. Cowardice. Punk-ass, chicken shit cops who can't even stop themselves from flinching. They got flinchy trigger fingers, like punk-ass Nick Bailek and German Alvarez. These officers who pull their guns on young men and then flinch and blow them away. How do they still have their jobs? How do they still have their jobs? How does someone like German Alvarez, who can't even qualify to carry a weapon in public, get the opportunity to murder an unarmed young man like Gustavo Nájera and still have a job? Still have the Anaheim Police Association rally around his cause and raise money for the lawyers. And the Anaheim, you know what? The city of Anaheim has their city attorney, the nefarious Moses Johnson, working on these cases. The same attorney who threw the case in the Manuel Diaz trial, who polluted the jury's mind with irrelevant evidence, is still trying cases. An attorney who's been reprimanded by the Ninth Circuit Court is still trying cases for the city of Anaheim, and you know why? Because he's dirty enough to win those cases. Because he's dirty enough to win those cases. But like Renee said, things are changing. 2011 was when I came into this. In 2017, I wouldn't be standing here today if things weren't changing, and if they're not going to change more. Because we are filming the police. We are catching you slipping. We're going to keep the pressure on the police. We need to film the police whenever we get the chance. Something I begged for in 2011 was some footage of my friend's murder. Because when my friend got killed, when Michael Nida was murdered in the city of Downey, they told the story came out in the papers, and they told us and the family that Mikey was acting like a caged animal, and that he was combative and fighting with the cops, and that's why they shot him, because they were afraid for their lives. And we knew that was a lie, because that night we went down to St. Francis Hospital, and we were told by the ER staff that my friend was shot in the back. But the city of Downey and the Downey Police Department lied about it. And I wish there was footage, but when that autopsy came out that proved they were lying, that was good enough for us. That was proof that they're lying. But if we can catch them on video, if we can catch them slipping, just like last year when the off-duty LAPD officer beat up Christian, and we went out there and protested, and we stood up, right? Because we caught him on video. Because we caught him on video. And things that people never ever wanted to believe. Not in my neighborhood, that's my neighbor. Oh, he's a good guy. Until you see him choking out a little kid and firing around into the grass because he's afraid of some middle school kids. These are terrifying people you have working in our public defense. You are terrorizing your community through your incompetence, through your brutality. Things need to change. Your department is obsolete. You serve a purpose that is no longer necessary. Our communities are coming together, are learning to trust each other, to work with each other, to support each other, and we will no longer need to call you because we're afraid of our neighbors. We will no longer need to call you because we're afraid to go outside, because we're going to build our communities. We're going to take care of each other. We're going to become strong together. We do not need the police department. They are an obsolete institution. They are no longer necessary. Our communities should be able to take care of themselves. In 2017, with the networks that we have available, there's no reason why we can't take care of our neighbors. Love our neighbors like we love ourselves, right? Follow some real truth instead of some empty banners that you see hanging in the lobby of the APD. Kindness is not contagious when it comes to the Anaheim Police Department. Murder's contagious when it comes to the Anaheim Police Department. Homicidal behavior is contagious when it comes to the Anaheim Police Department. Lack of conscience and compassion is contagious when it comes to the Anaheim Police Department. Disregard for the safety of the community and a hatred for the poor and the suffering and the marginalized is contagious in the Anaheim Police Department. We're sick of it. We're exhausted. It's 2017. Some of us have been out here for longer than 6, 7, 8, 9 years. We're exhausted, but we will not quit. We will not quit. We will be out here. We'll be out here every month, and then you know what? As soon as we get enough people and we get enough momentum, we're going to be back out here every fucking week. We'll be back out here every fucking Sunday, and we'll raise it up. Because you know what? What you did to Vince, what you did to Gustavo, you got to pay for that. You got to pay for what you did to Gus. You got to pay for what you did to Vince. And you will. You will. Anybody else need to speak? Please, get up and speak. This is your chance to testify. All right, we've got family members here who've lost loved ones. Anybody wants to stand up and say something, this is your chance. This is your mic, right? The people's mic exists to amplify your voice. I see Sonia over there, and if she's not going to come up and talk, I'm going to talk about her brother. I'm going to talk about Martin Angel Hernandez, somebody that was murdered way back in 2012. Way back in 2012, 5 years ago, by the Anaheim Police Department. He was executed while surrendering by a bully cop with a death wish for Martin, with a killer grudge for Martin, who'd been hunting this kid through his own neighborhood for 3 weeks up until the day of his death. The Anaheim Police Department fabricated an entire scenario to justify the murder of Martin Hernandez. And without video, it was the testimony, the narrative of his community that preserved the truth. People rose up immediately after Martin was executed and said that the fucking cops are lying, that what they're saying about Martin is a lie, that Martin was surrendering, that Martin was compliant, that Martin was murdered. And you know what happened to those people who stood up and said that? Their community was raided, they were arrested, they were deported, they were harassed and intimidated into silence. But the one person who wouldn't be silenced was Martin's sister, Sonia, who decided to stand up for her brother, who decided to fight for her brother, to tell the truth about her brother, to keep the truth about her brother alive for as long as she's breathing. And now we know his truth. Now I know his truth. And now you know his truth. And what we have to do is learn those truths and testify. Tell those truths to the public. When you go out there and you say, fuck the police, and someone wants to know why, give them some fucking names. When I say, fuck the Anaheim Police Department, when I say, fuck the Anaheim Police Department, I'm talking about David Raya. I'm talking about Martin Hernandez. I'm talking about Joey Acevedo. I'm talking about Manuel Diaz. I'm talking about Monique Decker. I'm talking about Gustavo Nájera. I'm talking about Vincent Valenzuela. And I can tell you every single one of those stories. You are a pack of murderous wolves. You do not belong in this community. This list, when we started, was about this long. And now it stretches to the street. Because they don't care. We've been standing up and telling them, change the way you do things. Stop hiring murderers. Fire the cowards. Everybody still got their jobs. We haven't heard one story, not one story since 2012 about an Anaheim police officer being fired for being a murderous coward or a brutal bully. But yet the list grows every year. The list grows every year. What is up with that? That city of Anaheim is compliant and complicit in this murder. They hire their city attorney to run out and defend these officers knowing what they did. Knowing Gustavo Nájera was murdered. They're going to continue to fight to take that case to trial. Knowing Manuel Diaz was murdered. They took that case to trial and cheated and lied and are willing to do it again because they want to preserve their institution, which is not just the Anaheim Police Department. Is also the Anaheim Police Association, which is also City Hall, which is also Disney. Everybody takes care of each other. The money handles the money in this town, and the poor can fuck off. But that's not going to be the way things are handled anymore. The poor and the struggling and the marginalized have to come together. We have to unite our neighborhoods. We have to keep our positive attitudes in spite of this horrifying negativity. We have to remind ourselves that we're not fighting for us, we're fighting for our children. We're fighting so that Vincent Valenzuela III can grow up with the memory of his father's murder, which will never go away, but that he can grow up and be a productive, healthy, as whole as possible human being. That's why we're out here. So that not one more father gets murdered with a toy in his pocket for his son. So that not one more mother has to wonder what her grandchildren would have looked like because her son got murdered before he ever got a chance to have a child. This is enough. This is enough. When you look in that lobby and you look at that flag that's sitting behind that fucking coward, look at the color drained out of that flag. The only color you see is that blue line. That's as un-American as it gets. That's telling you exactly what their fucking intentions are. To take away your freedom and to enforce the police state. All they care about is that blue line. Red, white, or blue, don't matter. It's that blue line they care about. I could go on and on and on. I'm getting a little tired, so if somebody wants to come up and speak, they'd really be helping me out.